Hello and welcome back to the channel. Come here. You're too far away. Hi you guys, you might be wondering why are you in your bed? Well, today's video is going to be a 6-month postpartum Q&A. I can't believe it, I'm about to be 6 months postpartum here. And I thought we'd do a check-in. I haven't done a Q&A in a while. I haven't talked about just like pregnancy, postpartum, baby stuff, like just as its own video in a while. So I thought this would be a good little check-in moment. And today's video is sponsored by Bedsure. Bedsure's goal is to bring joy to customers around the world. They design products with your everyday comfort in mind. Whether it's a soft blanket or a warm comforter, they want you to get cozy in the place you call home. Today, I have made my bed with bamboo and linen sheets that are breathable and keep us cool at night. This pre-washed cotton comforter is extra cozy and ultra soft and looks so good in our bedroom. I also got this silk pillowcase for my pillow. My hair gets so frizzy, but sleeping on silk really helps to combat a lot of that frizz, so I wake up looking a little more refreshed. Also, we got this cotton weave blanket, which comes in handy as an extra blanket on the bed when Mario and I inevitably fight for covers all night. It's so warm yet lightweight, and honestly, it would be such a great gift too. Plus, the best part about all of this bedding is that it is Beethoven approved, for sure. It would be Tuna approved too, but he's a little camera shy. So, if you're interested in this, like seriously so comfortable, so soft, and more importantly, like nice and breathable. I live here in Los Angeles and it has been hot lately and we've had issues with our AC, so it's nice. But I also I can't sleep without a comforter. That's just me. And I like this green. We had this like really pattern comforter before, which we've had for years because we have kind of like an Art Deco gold motif going on in our bedroom. But I kind of like just the olive green a lot better. It's more simple, feels more, I don't know, it's a little less chaotic on the eye. I just love these textures, these colors, the lived-in feel, so links below. Now let's jump into why you guys are really here, a Q&A. I asked you guys on Instagram for questions and I haven't looked. It's actually been a few weeks since I asked that because I wanted to actually do the Q&A when I was closer to 6 months postpartum. And you guys, this morning we gave August his first food. We gave him mashed avocado. We're doing, I think we're gonna do like a combo of like baby led weaning and purees, and he is not a fan of avocado, but one of my best friends, her baby is just a few months older than August, and I was texting with her about it and she was like, oh, like my son didn't like a lot of the first foods we gave him and now he eats everything. So okay, where did I ask that question? Okay, so I'm just gonna go through and pick some of the questions that I like and let's get this going. Have you started thinking about what age gap you want yet? I'm 5 months postpartum with my first and I realized I have to start thinking about it even just generally. Yeah, honestly, this is something we started thinking about kind of the day that August was born. We know we want to give him siblings. I think for me, I needed to see how the birth was gonna go before I was 100% sure. I'm an only child. Mario is essentially an only child. He has 2 half sisters that were out of the house by the time he was born, so we were both raised as only children. As a result, August doesn't have cousins. He technically has cousins from Mario's half sisters who we love dearly, but his youngest cousin is like a teenager, 15 or 16 I believe. So he's not gonna have any cousins his age, and so even though we were both kind of raised as only children, it's so important to us that he has siblings and just other kids in the family around his age, because I have one cousin that's kind of close to me in age that's having kids, but he lives in San Francisco and we're not that close. So like really this is it. So our doctor told us 18 months and that's kind of what we're going on. So basically when August is 1.5 years old, that's when we've got the go ahead. Honestly, I feel ready to go. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm ready. The only thing that like emotionally I'm not really ready is that like I just really want to like enjoy August for as long as I can as an only child. But then I think like whoever the next baby is, like they'll never get that. So maybe it's better to just bring them into the world now. Like I feel physically ready, but my doctor says I'm not. So I think we're just gonna wait the 18 months and then start trying again. That's our current plan at the moment. What's an upcoming milestone I'm excited about? I would say eating, but we started that today. I would say he's really close to, well, maybe not really close, that might be a stretch. The next thing I think physically he's gonna do is sit up. So we've been like practicing sitting up and he's getting pretty good. So maybe sitting, I don't know. Every new thing that he does, I'm just like, oh my God. Now he's been mocking, like sticking, I go like this at him a lot and he's been going like back to me and it's, oh, every new thing he does is like a joy and a gift. Oh, this is a great one. How are the cats reacting to the baby now? So if you're new here, I have 2 cats, 2 long-haired cats, Beethoven and Big Tuna. When we first brought August home, the cats wanted nothing to do with him. They weren't mean to him or mad at him. They just wanted to avoid him. And he had like no awareness of the cats at all. From the cat's perspective, that has not changed. They still don't want anything to do with him, but they're not mean to him or anything. They just kind of, they don't even really avoid him anymore because they'll like sit in the room with us while we're playing, but they just kind of like don't have any interest in playing with him. August, however, has discovered that he has cats and wants to play with them so bad. Every time he sees one of the cats, he lights up. He tries really hard to reach for it. Like, we have really nice cats. We're very lucky. So like, sometimes we'll hold him near like Beethoven and he'll just like reach out and like play with Beethoven's fur, play with Beethoven's tail. And Beethoven doesn't really care. He's not like thrilled, but he doesn't like run away or anything. And that is like August's favorite time of day. So August loves the cats. The cats remain indifferent at best towards August. Is anything easier than you thought it would be? How about harder? I think like knowing what to do with him every day and like being comfortable with him, that's so much easier than I ever thought it would be. That was kind of one of the things I was most weirdly nervous about, just because before I got pregnant, I had never really spent a lot of time with babies. Sorry, I'm screenshotting. So yeah, that's been easier and a joy, honestly. Like spending time with my son is like literally the greatest gift in the world. And I was so nervous that we weren't gonna know each other, and we know each other, like we're besties. Harder, yeah, I think I thought that getting into a routine would be easier. Like that's so much harder than I thought it was gonna be. And the thing is that like every once in a while I feel really confident, like, oh, we're in a routine. Like he naps for this amount of time and then he's awake for this amount of time, blah, blah. And then like boom, he's teething and now all of that is out the window. And or boom, we hit our sleep regression, or boom, we hit a growth spurt. And like every time you think you have it down, it changes on you. And I hear that's just how it is kind of for a long time. So I'm getting used to the erratic patterns, but as someone whose brain craves pattern, control, and routine, that has been harder for me than I thought it was going to be. But I'm so lucky to have a flexible job so that I can just like sit here and figure him out and learn him. That's like something that I've been really privileged to have, and I know that, and like it's made even the hardest parts like manageable. Someone just said, how are you feeling? And honestly, like I'm feeling pretty good. Like I kind of can't believe it. I didn't really get like postpartum depression, which I was totally expecting. So I know it can still happen, but like emotionally I'm feeling really good. Like sometimes I go through these periods of like extreme anger or extreme sadness. I am bipolar, so like that is kind of par for the course with me, but I also realize that it's very much tied to my cycle, which by the way, my period came back like 6 weeks postpartum. So I've had many periods since giving birth, and I do have like stronger emotional, like my hormone up and downs are way more strong than they ever were before I got pregnant. And it took me a couple months to like figure out like, why am I so mad? And then I was like, oh, it's always like the couple of days before my period. I'm just like so sad and so mad. But mostly emotionally, I've been feeling very level, and physically I feel great. I feel fantastic. I started going to the gym a few weeks ago and I just feel like really in control. I had no idea what recovery was going to be like, and recovery was very painful in those first few weeks. Like, you know, I'm past it now, so it's like kind of a haze that I don't really remember. But if I try and put myself back in those like first couple of weeks postpartum, oh my God, like I was sitting on ice packs, like I was just like miserably painful. But I feel like it all healed up in a couple of weeks, and if you told me I gave birth, I would be shocked. Everything is completely back to my experience of normal, so I feel great. Breastfeeding journey and your pumping process, how are you juggling both? I'm due in December. Congratulations. Another thing that we got really lucky on is August took to breastfeeding really quickly. And I've been breastfeeding since the start. I hate to come across as braggy. This was just my experience. Like, he had no latch problems, and we just have been, for the most part, really successful in breastfeeding. When I went back to work, again, I'm really fortunate to primarily work from home, and so I only have childcare 2 days a week. When she is here, I pump bottles for her. The thing is, I am a just enough producer. I never had an oversupply. I only have 4 bags of milk in my freezer right now because I just like, I don't have a lot of like extra supply, and what supply I do have is starting to kind of dwindle, and we're starting to have some issues with the breastfeeding. We're like, he's not getting enough. We're also about to start solids, but I'm also considering, you know, we're at the 6-month point and I'm considering starting to wean him a little bit and doing some combo feeding with formula, just because I feel like he's not getting enough. I have we just talked to a lactation consultant, and I have an appointment with our pediatrician, of course, next week. So all of this is something I'm going to be talking about with them. But so far, the breastfeeding journey has been fantastic and great, and I have no complaints other than this like innate fear that he's not getting enough. He's also, you know, he's on the smaller side for the weight percentile, and so like I just worry about these things. But like his output is fine. All of the signs that he is getting enough are there. It's just like an internal anxiety, and also like the fact that like I don't have a lot of extra production. So like when I do go away for work, when I do go to film, it's very stressful to like stay on top of the pumping, and like to pump enough bottles to like leave for him is like almost sometimes impossible. So for those reasons, we're considering weaning him into a combo feeding formula breast milk situation after we are at officially 6 months, which is next week. So far so good, but there are some like weird hangups with breastfeeding. For me personally, if I was able to do it, which I was, I wanted to definitely make it to 6 months, which I have. He has only had breast milk up until the day when he had an avocado. But before that, he has only had breast milk his whole life, and I'm so happy and blessed that I was able to do that for him. But now we're at the 6-month point, and we're starting to think about weaning him a little bit. So that's kind of been like a little touch on my journey so far. Yeah, that honestly, check in with me again in 6 months and see what we ended up doing. Because for right now, we've really just only been breastfeeding, and he will fortunately take a bottle of breast milk. So like if I pump a bottle, he'll take it from Mario or from our nanny or from, you know, whoever is watching him, which like I know because I have a friend whose baby will not take a bottle, that we are also lucky that he's pretty chill in that regard. It's just that like I can't pre-pump bottles, and we don't have a huge stash. So it's getting harder and harder to give him milk when I'm gone, which I'm gone like 2 to 4 times a month. So, you know, most of the time I don't mind having to be constantly with August for his food source, but also like my parents were here the other day, they wanted to take him out to the gardens. I didn't have an extra bottle of milk to give them, so I like had to go with them, even though I would have preferred to stay back and do some work. It's just kind of like that. So for a lot of reasons, we're considering weaning, but not until 6 months and after we talk to our pediatrician. As a 20-year-old who's never had a baby, I want to know, what is the worst part of pregnancy and birth? Well, people's pregnancies, you know, vary. I mean, some people get really, really, really sick, and, you know, it's just a miserable experience start to finish. I didn't necessarily get sick, and also every pregnancy is different. So like my next pregnancy could be nothing like my pregnancy with August. For me, I just got like really, really big. I was just like, my bump was really forward. I went to physical therapy for like the back half of my pregnancy because like my bump was causing so much like physical discomfort and pain. And not that I was sick. It's not that I even had like any of those kind of pregnancy symptoms. It's just that like the extra weight in the bump was like, in the movement of my pelvic floor bones was literally just like making everything painful. Physical therapy helped, but I didn't really think about that before I got pregnant. Like, oh, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be miserable in so many ways. But also, I think I had a really lucky pregnancy in that in general, like the like pain, the joint pain and the discomfort, not a deterrent from doing it all over again. I just like really was like forward showing, and who knows, maybe it won't be like that next time. But honestly, like I said, it's like that was maybe the worst part, and I think I got lucky because not a deterrent. The worst part about birth, honestly, for me, was just like the unknown of it all. Like going into the hospital not knowing, like, is this gonna end in a C-section? Like, is everything gonna be okay? Am I gonna deliver fine? Am I gonna tear? Is it gonna, you know, hurt? Is like all of just like that I just didn't know. I had never gone through it. I feel like now that I've done it, I was so afraid of giving birth. When I got that positive pregnancy test, like it was the happiest day of my life, followed by one of the like most anxious days of my life, because I was like, oh shit, I now have to give birth. Like giving birth is in my future, and it is something I'm going to have to do. And it's something I had always been really afraid of. It's scary. It looks scary. It sounds scary. Nobody talks about it like wonderful, like in a wonderful, positive way usually. My experience ended up being pretty positive, and I'm so glad. But like, I know a lot of people who had C-sections after like pushing for a long time. I was breeching my mom when we did like an inversion, like after she, you know, started labor. Like it was like, I just heard all of these like scary things that could happen. I wasn't ready for how mundane my own birth was. There was like a scary moment, and if you haven't seen or heard my birth story, I made a video of it. I'll link it below if I don't, remind me. Yeah, I think like just the unknown and the anticipation of the worst, that was the worst part of birth, because my actual birth experience, given that I had like an epidural and he came out pretty quickly, was relatively chill. I tore, yes, but I didn't feel a goddamn thing, and that's the goal, right? I think that's my answer. How has yours and Mario's relationship changed since having a baby? Oh, I wish she was here to answer this with me, but I would say our relationship has gotten stronger and better. I know that's not always the situation that you hear about from people, but Mario and I have been together for, it'll be not 9 years this year. We've just been together for a really long time, and we've known, this has been a conversation that we've been having for like, let's say 7.5 out of those 9 years is like having a baby and what our life is going to be like. And we waited, you know, until we were like in the right spot financially, and like we had we had all these benchmarks we wanted to hit that we hit before we, you know, had him. But we have been thinking about having kids for a long time. So for us, this is something that we really wanted. And so even when times are like, you know, when August isn't sleeping, or one of us feels like we're taking on more of the work than the other or whatever, like there is never a moment where we're not so grateful for our family. And I think like there's something about the hormones and the euphoria post-birth that has not worn off. That's just like, oh my God, like we did this, we're a family, like I love you so, so much. Like every time I look at him, I'm just like, oh my God, that is the love of my life. That is my best friend, and him and I made a baby, and that baby is amazing. And I know like he has said similar things about me, and like Mario has always been an incredible partner, but he's an even more incredible dad. And literally having a child has only made our relationship and our family unit like so much stronger. I love my husband. I'm so obsessed with him. If you guys have been around, you know I'm like codependent as hell on him. But yeah, it's been really good, like emotionally, physically, mentally, like on every level of our relationship, things have only gotten better, which I never would have predicted. Like literally, we did couples counseling while I was pregnant, because I was anticipating things getting harder, and I wanted to make sure that like we had really strong open lines of communication, which I think was a great idea. We didn't like have any particular issues. I just like wanted to be prepared for when the baby came. So we did a couple sessions of couples counseling before, or couples therapy, I guess, or whatever, before I gave birth. And I'm glad we did that, because I do feel like we've been able to like really communicate well, and we have had like a couple little tiny fights that we resolve like super quickly, but things have just not been as difficult as I thought they were going to be. I thought my anxiety was going to prevent me from trusting him, but seeing how good he is with August, like my trust in him has only like quintupled. So not to be so gross and sappy, but literally our relationship has never been better. What topics are you watching about baby development content on TikTok or YouTube? I had to stop looking at TikTok and YouTube for like parenting stuff. It was just, there's too much conflicting stuff. I was getting this like pit of feeling like I wasn't doing enough for August, which was crazy because I am. And like, I don't know, it was just not great. So I kind of stopped looking at parenting stuff. I will say I follow Solid Starts for baby-led weaning advice on Instagram. And I also follow this wonderful account called OT Marissa, and I'll link them below if I don't remind me. Her baby is only 1 month older than August, and she's a child OT. And so she's been giving she gives lots of advice on like what to do for tummy time and like how to help them hit the next milestone. So just because like her son is literally just like 1 month ahead of August, it's nice to like look at her account and be like, here's what's coming up, and here's like some products I can buy and stuff I can do. But really those are the only 2 accounts that I have been looking at, because I'm trying not to oversaturate myself with like advice from others. Like we are seeking advice in real life from people and resources that we trust, but I feel like social media is not 100% reliable. Sometimes it can be fantastic, but for the most part, it should just be entertainment. So I haven't really been looking too much at like TikTok, YouTube stuff for parenting, personally. I know that it can be very helpful, and there are a lot of great resources out there. This is just what's working for me. Okay, let's answer this TMI question, because I'm in bed, and then we'll close this video off. Maybe TMI, so I'm sorry. But does sex feel the same? It's one of my silly worries. I get it. I was concerned about the same thing. Everything is back to normal. Everything feels the same. I promise you, from my experience, I had a 2nd-degree tear with, you know, stitches, and everything is completely normal, back up and running. Everything functions as it should, and we've put it through the test multiple times and all good. So everything goes back and everything works as it should, and intimacy is sometimes even better than it was before we gave birth. Kind of weird. You would never have imagined, but yeah, that's the truth. Okay, you guys, I think that's gonna be all of it, the questions I answered today, but thanks for doing this little check-in Q&A with me with all my cozy bedding from Bedsure. So to remember to shop Bedsure to make your bedding as cozy as mine. And thanks again to Bedsure for sponsoring this video and making this one of the comfiest filming locations of the channel. I appreciate it so much, and I wish I could stay in bed all day, but unfortunately August will be getting up from his nap soon and I gotta go breastfeed him. So thank you guys so much for being here. I love you oh so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.